Hare Krishna, dear devotees, then with pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. We are reading chapter 17, the divisions of faith, Shraddha Trey Vibhag Yog, from Bhagavad Gita. So let's do Manglacharan before that. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam
Rupa
Kadamaham Dadati
Padantikam
Swapadantikam
Vandeham
Vande
Shri
Sri
Guru
Guru
Shri
Sri
Tapantakam
Tapakam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam
Vaishnavamscha Shri
Shri
Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana
Raghunatham
Sajivam
Sajivam
Sadhvaitam
Sadvaitam
Savadhutam
Savadhutam
Parijana
Parijana
Saitam
Saitam
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Devam
Devam
Shri
Shri
Radha Krishna Padan
Radhan
Sahagana Lalita Shri
Sagunalalika Shri
Vishakhavitamscha
Vishakha
He
He
Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Rupesha
Krishna
Gopika Kanta
Gopika
Radha Kanta Namostute
Namastute
Bhakta Kanchana
Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanusute
Vrishabhanusute
Devi
Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami
Hari
Haripriye Vanchakalpatarushya
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa
Sindhuve
Sindhuve
cha Patitaham
Patitavam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namah
Namah
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Ya Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna
Krishna
Prishnaye
Krishnaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimati
Srimati
Bhaktivedanta
Bhakti
Swami Namine Namaste
Namaste
Saraswati
Saraswati
Devi
Devi
Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi
Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh
Mukam
Mukam
Karoti
karoti vachalam pangum lanjayate girim yatkripatam aham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam
Paramananda
Paramananda
Madhavam
Madhavam
Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Ishwaram
Ishwaram Guruve Gauri Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya
Tadbhaktaya
Tadvaya
Namo
Namo
Namah
Namah
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
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 Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Rama
Rama Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
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 Hare. Bol. Hare Krishna.
Bol. Thank you everybody for joining. So yes, we were talking about 17th chapter, divisions of faith. So Krishna has so far described that a person's faith is determined by what kind of sacrifices he does, what kind of austerities he does, right? What kind of foods he eats, what kind of charities he does. So yagya, tap, dan, and food. ये तीन चार चीजें बताई कृष्णा ने, right? That determines their faith, and each of these can be divided into three modes. Each of this can be in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, right? सात्विक भी हो सकता है, तामसिक भी हो सकता है, राजसिक भी हो सकता है. Whether it's your austerities you do, whether it's the sacrifices you do, whether the food you eat, everything can be in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, and that is what decides your faith. So we are towards the end of the 17th chapter, last several verses. I don't think today, but next time we will be able to finish it. And please read this chapter by then in detail, read the purports of Prabhupada, underline, it is okay to underline the book. You can write in the margins your questions or your realizations, and then you can share in the class. Read each verse, underline the purport, what comes to mind, what strikes you. This is what I want to change in my life, or this is a nice point that I did not know before, or something new that I learned. This is something that I want to work on, whatever, things that are your realizations, you should write in the margins. Great people, great scholars, great philosophers of this world that, used to write in the margins of the books. So reading, we are not just reading Bhagavad Gita, we are studying Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, my books are meant to be studied, not just read. So we are not just reading like a novel, we are studying it, word by word. We are trying to break it down. So and I'm trying to read the purports and also supplement this with other devotees' realizations and from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentaries on this. And Prabhupada himself has taken the sense, the nichod of all those commentaries and put them in his purport. So please read these purports in detail, underline them, write your realizations and everything. And questions, most importantly, questions or doubts, because questions and doubts are the weeds. So we should always ask our doubts. When you read Bhagavad Gita, again, humility is the essence. Humility is the foundation. Don't read, oh, ye to mujhe pata hi hai. So what? Prabhupada keeps saying this thing over and over again. So read it with humility that I don't know anything. I want to learn something. Then you will learn. If the most of the people are not able to understand Bhagavad Gita or get anything out of it, even after multiple readings, is because they're reading with this pride that I already know everything. So then Bhagavad Gita does not reveal itself. Krishna does not reveal himself to arrogant or pride people. Krishna will reveal himself to those who are humble, who are simple, right? He's the shelter for them. So with that mood, we'll read Bhagavad Gita and we'll continue from where we left off. Any questions from last time? These are the 3 verses we covered last time. Actually, 4 verses. So we talked about austerity of speech in detail because this is what connects us to the people around us. That is why this was so important. What we are doing in our mind, it just torments us, right? But speech can torment other people also. That is why we talked about speech so much. Austerity of mind is more for your own satisfaction, growth. Yes, Mataji, Anita Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. The 17th text, it is mode of goodness. The austerity is done in mode of goodness when we are engaged in the for getting the mercy of Supreme. So isn't it we read earlier that it was the demigod, not the Supreme, for mode of goodness? So when, like, how I understood, like when it is for Supreme, it is transcendental. It is not in the goodness or passion or ignorance.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, your understanding is correct. If we do it for some, so the main point here is faith. If we have, when people are praying to demigods, they have a faith that there is a power above us, right? They're just not connected to the Supreme Lord, but they have faith that we are not the lords. We are under subjugation, servitude of some higher powers, right? So when they connect to, you're right, to any demigods, higher powers, with that faith, and not for any fruitive or material results, not expecting anything in return, but more as a mode of goodness is more in line with duty. कि ये मेरा फर्ज बनता है ये करना. मेरी ये ड्यूटी है कि मुझे इतना कुछ मिला है, so I should also do something in return, right? When we do in that way austerities or sacrifices, then that becomes mode of goodness. But your understanding is perfectly correct, Mataji. If it is for the Supreme, anything for the Supreme Lord, when we do it not just with faith, not just with duty, but out of love, right? Jैसे Ekadashi, we are not keeping out of duty. It's not my duty to keep Ekadashi. I'm not trying to please the higher powers, demigods, so that they can do welfare for this world, right? When the demigods are pleased, they take care of this world by providing rains and grains and wind and water and everything. So we are not doing it as a duty. We are doing Ekadashi to show our love for the Supreme Lord. That is why Ekadashi is transcendental, right? So when we are chanting the names, we are not doing it as a duty or out of fear or out of lording it over the other people, right? When we do it as out of fear, out of pride, or out of duty, then it is in goodness, passion, ignorance. When we do it out of love, to express our to show our heart to Krishna, that I just want to come back to you, that I just want to please you, I just want to please the Lord, then that is transcendental. So your understanding is 100% correct, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions? And this applies to everything. जो भी आपने पूछा, this applies to everything. Whether it's austerities, whether it's charity, whether it's sacrifice, whether it's food, anything. When we do, okay, I'm taking care of my health, and so I'm eating nourishing food because it is my duty to take care of my body. my body should stay healthy, I should live a long life, that way my mind will be calm, all this, that is mode of goodness, right? But when you say, okay, this is prasad of Bhagwan has honored this, Supreme Lord has tasted it, and this is his remnants that I'm getting, then that same food, even though it is same as mode of food, same here, but your intention behind it has changed. So when it is with the mood of pleasing the Lord, right, to get the mercy of the Lord, to attract his mercy, to attract his love, then that becomes, same thing becomes spiritual, it becomes transcendental, it goes above the three modes. The three modes bind us. अगर हम मोड ऑफ गुडनेस वाला फूड भी खा रहे हैं या ऑस्टेरिटी कर रहे हैं, सैक्रिफाइस कर रहे हैं, then it is still going to bind us, right? Remember, it's a gold chain, but it is still a chain. So it's a nice chain. It will but it'll still keep us bound here, and we'll have to come back to get the results. So if you're doing it just to get a good, healthy body, then you will keep getting good, healthy bodies for many, many, many births to come, right? So in this way, we have to understand that goodness is not pure goodness. This is not Vishuddha Sattva Gun. This goodness is contaminated by some other modes also all the time. So remember that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is talking about the three modes, but our devotees, they have given us what is transcendental, what goes beyond this. Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrit, they are postgraduate study, they are the PhD studies. So they give us what is transcendental. So anything that is done for the pleasure of Lord becomes transcendental. Okay, anybody else has any questions, realizations? If not, let's go to verse 20. We'll try to cover at least 3 to 5 verses today and then finish next time. So we're reading Bhagavad Gita 17.20. So now in next 3 verses, Krishna will talk about charity. दान कैसे करना होता है, पिछली बार बताया तपस्या कैसे करनी होती है, austerity in 3 modes. Now we'll talk about दान or charity in 3 modes. Okay, so let's read Bhagavad Gita 17.20. दातव्यम इति यद्दानम
दातव्यम इति यद्दानम
दीयते अनुपकारिणे
दीयते अनुपकारिणे
देशे काले च पात्रे च
देशकाले च पात्रे च
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्.
Okay, can anyone read this? Yes, Vedi.
Charity is given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place, and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Avni, would you like to share something from this?
So I think what Krishna is saying is that charity in the mode of goodness is if you're giving it like at the proper time, place, and to a person who's going to use it in the right way, and you're giving it with duty and without any expectations to get anything in return, like any fame or anything like that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let's read all 3 actually. We can take all 3 together. So let's do next one, 17.21. Yattu pratyupkarartham phalam uddishya va punah diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam Okay, please read this.
Hare Krishna, I can read. But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion.
Be bold. You want to share something, Vinita?
I think this verse is saying if you're doing charity but you don't really want to do it, like you don't feel the desire in your heart to do it, then it's really just in the mode of passion.
Okay, yes. So that's one, right? Grudgingly, or with the desire for fruitive results. Yeah. For prati upkar, so for some expectation of return. So this is Rajasic Dan. Pehle Abnita read the Sattvic Dan, Vinita read Rajasic Dan. Let's read about Tamasic Dan. Next verse, 17.22. Adesh Adeshkal Yaddanam
अदेशकाले यद्दानम्
Apatrebhyascha diyate
अपात्रेभ्यश्च
Apatrebhyascha
दीयते
Asatkritam avagyatam Asatkritam
असत्कृतम्
avagyatam
अपघ्नम्
Tattamasam udharitam Tattamasam
तत्तामसदुदारतम्.
udharitam. Translation.
I can read. And charity performed at an impure place at an improper time to unworthy persons who without proper attention and respect is said to be the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hema Mataji, would you like to share something? What you understand?
What I understand is there are different ways of doing charity. Sometimes it is done who are like undeserving people. Like what comes to my mind is fake gurus and who impose themselves as spiritual masters, and they're getting a lot of charity in their name. So I think that is a mode of ignorance, not coming from our scriptures. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ribol, yes. So this is Tamsik Dan. So let's break down each of these. So we'll try to understand that just like we understood the austerities and sacrifices in three modes. And some of us, are at that stage where we would like to do some charities, right? We want to donate our money or some resources for the welfare of this world, right? So we are all trying to engage in some kind of charity, some kind of charitable activities in this world now. It is said that dhan ki shuddhi daan se hoti hai, right? So we are all earning, at least those people that are earning, they want to purify their dhan by doing some charity or daan. So Vedas have clearly mentioned that charity is very important for the purification of our work that we do. Like we are doing so much, we are engaged in so much work. But if we don't give that money in daan, then that work is useless. We are given this human form of life. Human form of life is not just for one person's own enjoyment, for not just to engage in our own sense pleasures and just for our own material advancement and upliftment. That is not the purpose of human life. Our scriptures clearly say that human life, especially if it is lived just keeping ourselves in center, just for our oneself, just for our own gratification, then that life is vain, that life is useless, it's not worthy of living. But one that lives for others, a human that gets this rare human form of life and lives for others, for sacrifice, who lives a life of sacrifice, who lives to uplift others, who lives for the betterment of the society, of the community, right? Their life is of value. Then their life is not goes from vain to value, right? That is the genuinely a human life. Otherwise, there is no difference between a human or an animal, right? So the genuinely a human life is one that is engaging in some kind of charity, some kind of sacrifice for others. If you remember at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Nemisharanya, right? 88,000 sages had gathered in the forest of Nemisharanya, right? Nemisharanya is a place near Kanpur. And in this place, they were doing this 1,000-year sacrifice. They were doing this yajna for the welfare of people coming in Kali Yuga, because they knew that Kali Yuga is coming up. And Kali means Kalah. Kali means Kalah, right? Conflict, ya quarrel. So age of conflict, age of quarrel, age of hypocrisy is coming. And in this Kali Yuga, they could foresee, being sages, they could foresee that there will be a lot of troubles for humans. So they did this huge sacrifice. They gathered and did this 1,000-year yajna for the peace and welfare of other people. Because they were very concerned with the fate of the world. It is going to be destroyed in Kali Yuga if we don't do anything. So then they came across this wonderful sage who just happened to be walking through the forest of Naimisharanya at the time. Can anybody name that sage? Whoever has read the first few chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, yes, Vedahi.
Sud Goswami?
Sud Goswami, yes, Sud Goswami. He was walking through the forest at that time, and they asked him 6 questions. We'll circle back to this. I want everybody to think about the 6 questions that the sages asked Sud Goswami. The 6 wonderful, glorious questions that each of us should also ask, and that they asked on our behalf to Sud Goswami. And Sud Goswami answered one by one. But before that, let's go back to this verse on charity. So the point is that, from time immemorial, people have engaged in charity, right? And Vedas recommend this because that is what purifies our karma, our actions that we do, our jobs that we engage in, the money that we earn. So the first verse, Krishna is saying that charity given out of duty. So remember, we talked about duty, meaning that I have been given so much, I should give further to other people, to the people that are less fortunate than me. I should give something to them. This is like a sense of duty, right? This is a sense of duty without expectation of return, because I have enough. I don't want anything back from them. I'm just giving it so that they can also get some of my good fortune, because I've been given so much, right? That is no expectation of return. And the criteria of this charity is, Krishna is always giving us criteria, always giving us filters in Bhagavad Gita. He's giving us principles, the sutras to use. So he's saying, make sure that when you do this charity, the time is good, the place is good, meaning you're not giving it to a demeaning, a degraded place, right? And to a worthy person. So you're giving the charity to worthy people, worthy time, worthy place, and that charity is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Okay. So what that means is, so if you look at this verse, Anupakarine, you're doing it as an upkar without any expectation of return. Okay. Selflessly. And keeping in mind desh, kal, and patra. Place, time, place, and person. Okay. So this is the intelligence that you have to use, the discrimination that you have to use while performing charity. Don't give indiscriminately. तो हमें क्या सिखाया गया है कि charity देना, दान करना बहुत अच्छा है, right? But किसको दान देना चाहिए, कहाँ पे दान देना चाहिए, किस भाव से दान देना चाहिए, ये हमने कभी नहीं सीखा. This is what Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is teaching us, that don't give dan, charity, indiscriminately. Why? So this is a very important reason. Remember, and Bhagavatam tells us this, in Kali Yuga, okay, I'll ask everybody this. Anita Mataji, let me finish this verse, then I will take your realization. So, in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, are people born Brahmanas? Are people born Kshatriyas? Are people born Vaishyas? This is a trick question. Are people born Shudras? What is our situation in Kali Yuga? Let's ask. Vaishyas, okay. Rekha Mataji said it is a trick question. So let's see who can pick the trick. Let's hear from somebody. And how about Hema Mataji? Would you like to try?
Mataji, what were all the options? Sorry, my daughter interfered.
The 4 varnas, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra.
Vaishyas.
Okay, 2 people said Vaishyas. Yes. Anita Mataji, would you like to share? Is your hand raised for that?
नहीं, मेरा उसके लिए था माता जी, whether proper time कैसे पता चलेगा, तो maybe we can discuss that later. But somebody interrupted me in between. क्या था सवाल आपका?
हमारी क्या पोजीशन होती है इन कलयुगा? What are we? Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya और Shudra?
Shudras, it's all the time we are the lowest of the lowest category.
Yes, Hari Bol. So we are all Shudras. The trick in the question was 2 folds. One was that we do. Yes, Ravi Prabhu, would you like to share something?
No, Mataji, I had the hand raised for the same answer, but Mataji said it, so I said niche kar haath aisa.
Okay, Hari Bol. So yes, yeah. So both of you are right. It's the Shudra. We are all born Shudra. But the trick here was that we are actually the Varna is not decided by birth, right? Varna is decided by our tendencies, potencies. So when I say we are born, doesn't mean that the birth in the family, जैसे कि कोई ब्राह्मण family में पैदा हुआ है, that does not make him a Brahman. Being born in a Kshatriya family, being born in a Vaishya family does not make you a Vaishya or a Kshatriya, right? What makes you Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya or Shudra is what tendencies, potencies, capacities, what kind of mentality, what kind of faith you have acquired. And all of us are very, very low, just like Anita Mataji said. We are very, very fallen in this Kali Yuga. We are born with a very, very poor consciousness, very, very poor mentality. So we are practically all Shudras. So Bhagavatam tells us that in Kali Yuga, everybody is a Shudra. Okay. And so nobody should take this as an insult. We are all Shudras and we are all trying to reach to the Vaishnav level. So that is a long journey. We're trying to improve our faith. This 3 divisions of faith is telling us how you can climb up from ignorance, passion, goodness, and to transcendental level, right? So initially we just do things out of fear. Then we do things out of some fruitive results, desires, to fulfill our desires. Then we do things out of duty. कि ये करना मेरा फर्ज बनता है. Finally, we start doing things out of love, right? Then we come to transcendental mode, right? So that is the consciousness we are trying to raise ourselves to. But we are all born Shudras. So the point I was trying to make with this verse is we have to use our discrimination in this world when doing charity because everybody is a Shudra. When you are giving charity to a Shudra, जैसे कि कोई रास्ते में जा रहा है, आपने उसको कुछ पैसे दे दिए. We don't know who that person is, what he is going to do with that money. He may, what he might do, he may be an alcoholic. He may go buy alcohol from that money. He may consume alcohol. He may go home and beat up his wife. Now it was your money that was used for this end result of somebody getting suffering, right? So you cannot distort Bhagavad Gita's principle and say, "Hamara to bas kaam karna banta hai." You know, we just have to do our action. We don't have to worry about what result happens. No, Bhagavad Gita is clear. We cannot distort the principles of Bhagavad Gita that we just have to do our work and not worry about what happens. No, the end result is, you know, in this case, it is very clear that your money was used for somebody's suffering because you, without using your intelligence, without using your discrimination, gave money to some person who may misuse it, who may smoke with it, who may drink alcohol, who may torture somebody else, who may eat meat with it now, whatever, we don't know. So in that case, that karma will come back to you, right? That you will get he will get a sinful reaction, but you will also get sinful reaction because you facilitated this, right? So the charity should be done in this world, in this Kali Yuga, with discrimination by using your intelligence. You have compassion in you. You have care in you. That is why you are doing charity. But that compassion has to be used with caution. That care that you have in your heart should be used carefully. Okay. So be caring, but be careful also. Okay. It's the example is given. For example, a doctor goes to a place of epidemic, right? There is an epidemic. There is a cholera epidemic going on in a country. He goes to give his services. But does that mean when he goes there, he will not wash his hands? He's caring, he's compassionate. That is why he's going there to do this charitable act. But when he goes there, he has to be careful. He has to take hygiene precautions. If it is an epidemic that spreads by nose, then he will wear a mask. He will wash his hands. He will be wearing his full protective gear, right? N95 and everything while taking care of those people. So he has care in his heart. He has compassion in his heart. That is why he's doing this action of taking care of these people, right? He's doing this as his duty or for the love, whatever. But he has to do that carefully. He has to exercise that care, that compassion with caution, right? So he does not become the next victim of the epidemic. He does not become a patient himself, right? ऐसे ही एक और एग्जांपल जो डिवोटीज बहुत देते हैं, बहुत very frequently, that when you preach, when you know, and you go to very gathering of materialistic people or karmi people, right? You're preaching to them. Be careful, because those people can influence you. They can make you, they will argue with you. They will not listen to your instructions or your guidance, and they may destroy your faith. They may destroy your soft, gentle faith that you have. So don't, be very careful when preaching to the materialistic people, because you can get trapped by them. So in this way, this can be a trap. So you are, out of compassion of your heart, out of care in your heart, love in your heart, or out of sense of duty, you're doing this charity, but don't fall into a trap where that money, that resources, whatever you gave, is now being misused, and you become the victim of the sinful reaction. Because that, on your end, it was a pious deed, but it became an impious deed, right? It became, it generated you some reaction. So in this way, remember the Shudra mentality of people. That is why it is typically not encouraged to give money to the beggars on the street. If you have to give something, what can you give? What can we give? We want to do something. They are suffering.
Food?
Yes, food. And what kind of food?
Sattvic food like vegetarian,
Yes. Yes, Avni.
We can give some prasadam, like offering some like fruits or something and then give it.
Yes. Yes. So actually devotees always carry prasad with them in their car. Just like the best thing you can carry with you is like bag of nuts. Nuts वगैरह, क्योंकि कोई भी और चीज is perishable. Nuts will not go bad. जैसे fruits वगैरह रखेंगे, they can go bad. But typically devotees keep nuts, a lot of them, and you can make small pouches, ziplocs, or whatever you want. And you see some, यहाँ पे तो इतने दिखते नहीं है, इंडिया में ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम रहती है, but if you see, you can give them a ziploc. It's prasad, it's food, it will nourish them, and it is no, I mean, you have no, your only intention is to serve the Lord. You're distributing prasadam, just like you distribute prasadam in book distribution or in the temple. You have no other desire but to please the Lord. When you prasad comes with that consciousness that I'm just trying to please the Lord, right? It does not come with any other intention at all. So this already becomes transcendental charity. So that is the charity in mode of goodness, where you are giving charity to the proper person. So give it to like a pramanik Brahman or pramanik guru, like somebody said about guru. Give it to pramanik person who will use it for a proper cause. जैसे कि you can give charity, you can give, people give blankets to poor, right? You give, people make hospitals, people make schools, they make orphanages, right? All those are charitable work. They're all pious works. Or plant a tree, dig a well, right? जहाँ पे पूरा गांव में पानी नहीं होता है, they put the hand pump की पानी आ जाए, right? Or some other resources, electricity, whatever. So you do this, and that is a sattvic type of charity. So you're giving it to a qualified person. You make sure that is being used for the right purpose or right cause, and it is helping people. It is for the welfare of people, right? It will help them, and for you, by the principle of Vedas, your dhan, your wealth will also be purified. But that is sattvic, that is not transcendental. So when we plant a tree, when we give to orphanages, when we make a school, when we make hospitals, when we make a room in a hospital, put a bench in the garden, those kind of charities, they are pious deeds, but they are material. They do come with a reaction, and that will be a pious reaction, but you will still be bound to that pious act, right? So sattvic is the best mode of goodness, is the best charity to a qualified yogya person, but remember that it can also bind you. But it's still better to do that kind of charity and purify your wealth, your karma, purify your sinful reactions, rather than to do any charity in passion or ignorance, or to not do any charity at all. So charity in mode of goodness is still high. Okay. So we can go to the next one, but before that, let's see. Anita Mataji, you had some question?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. For proper time or improper time, वो कैसे पता चलेगा?
Yes, Mataji. So for anything, when you do it on auspicious days, the results are many times, manyfold higher, right? So if you do something, some charity on, let's say, Ekadashi or some Madhav Tithis or certain, like Bhadra Purnima pe we distribute. Now, this is a transcendental charity. When on Bhadra Purnima, people distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Or Gaur Purnima is coming and you're distributing Chaitanya Charitamrit, like that. So certain days are more auspicious when our gurus, our acharyas and Lord is even more merciful than the other days. So charity becomes even more expanded. But the more important is in this Kali Yuga, as we are not able to really pinpoint the auspicious times. So whatever the time, like whatever good days are there, जैसे आप कई बार अपने किसी बच्चे के जन्मदिन पे करते हो, but you can also do charity instead of बच्चे के जन्मदिन पे, you can do it on the जन्मदिन of some of our gurus or acharyas to please that acharya or guru. That will give you more benefit than to do it. They're really the auspicious days. Ekadashi is especially a really auspicious days for devotee when people do a lot of charity and stuff. But devotees typically engage in spiritual charity or transcendental charity. So all these days when they come up, we always tell you, just Bhadra Purnima aayi thi, ya fir month of Gita Jayanti tha. So we distributed so many Bhagavad Gitas, right? 50 or almost 50 Bhagavad Gitas, ya 108 Bhagavad Gitas ki humne. So in this way, you can do transcendental charity on those special days. So certain days have more power, more potency, more mercy filled in them.
So isn't it again, Mataji, like golden chain or जो लोहे का chain, iron chain, like हर दिन को हम auspicious माने, because every day is Krishna day.
Yes, yes. Yes, Mataji, yes. So the main thing is, so you're getting confused between mode of goodness and transcendence, I think. I think all you have to do is to just remember that you are a devotee and you have to do everything on a transcendental platform only. Okay? So you don't worry about mode of goodness. Okay? You just worry about the guidance of the devotees that have given you. And as per our devotional literature, we go by the Bhakti Shastras, right? We don't go by the mundane knowledge of the Vedas. Okay? This charity that is described is given in the Vedas. So passion, ignorance, or sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. We have to work on transcendental platform according to our Bhakti Shastras. So according to that, just like we said, preaching Krishna consciousness, distributing prasadam, and yes, you can do it on any day, but when you do it on certain days, just like we celebrate Gaur Purnima, it is not, we can celebrate Gaur Nitai every day, but still on that day, that is actually the appearance day when he manifested his pastimes in this material world is more important, right? That is when he's more pleased. So it does not become material. So transcendental things, just say Ekadashi never becomes material. Yeah, preaching Krishna consciousness, you're distributing prasadam, you're distributing transcendental literature, never becomes material. So ये चीजें कभी material नहीं होंगी, right? लेकिन इनका और ज्यादा हमें spiritual credit मिलेगा, not material credit. Not हमें कोई कर्मा नहीं मिल रहा है. We are not getting any karma when we are doing it on certain days. When we do spiritual charity, we are earning spiritual bank balance on certain days, more extra than even regular days. Right? That's why we gather together on certain days to definitely this day we should do kirtan, we should do fasting this day, right? We can fast any day also whimsically, but typically if we do it on the days that are outlined by our acharyas, by Prabhupada, to do extra rounds on Ekadashi, read extra on Ekadashi, we can read every day, yes, but that day is even more merciful. And location, जैसे कि अगर धाम में कोई चीज करते हैं, so it becomes amplified. The magnitude increases than when we are doing it from here, right? So if you're doing same Harikatha or same chanting in Vrindavan, each name gives you, अगर यहाँ पे एक नाम का एक credit मिलता है, तो वृंदावन धाम में एक नाम का 1000 credit मिलता है. So you keep chanting when you're in Vrindavan, when you're in Mayapur Dham, keep chanting, right? Because imagine कितनी आपकी एक नाम में कितनी माला हो रही है. So definitely देश काल पात्र का फर्क पड़ता है, right? And you can give to, let's say, any Vaishnava also or anybody, that is also spiritual charity. But then when you are working for the cause of Prabhupada, who is the preeminent acharya of our line, right? When you are giving it to a pure devotee of the Lord, right? So then, of course, the credit is more. So spiritual, yeah, transcendental credit, don't confuse it with these verses. This is talking about the material mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So if you have any doubts, when you're doing charity, Mataji, just remember prasad is always safe to give. Books, transcendental books are always safe to give. Devotees always carry some books with them. So when you go on a flight, तो एक book निकाली और साथ वाले व्यक्ति को दे सकते हो, right? That is the simplest book distribution you can give. And you can ask him, would you like to give something in return for this? If not, so imagine, सबसे safe, easy book distribution. So carry some books with you, carry some prasad with you. Yeah, that is the safest charity. Yes, Namita Mataji, please share. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I just wanted to say on that one, what you said about the time, what time is right. My parents always taught me, like, if in doubt, when you have to do certain thing, like special, like whatever it is, like, closing contracts, whatever it is, anything in time, like anything in doubt, always do it on a Ekadashi day. That is the by default, that's the best day. That is the most, that's the best time. That's the best day to do any activity. So by default, for Krishna devotee, Ekadashi is the best day. There's nothing other than that. So that's why I just wanted to reinforce that. For us devotees, I think Ekadashi by default is the best day and time to do any pious activity or anything. You want to start something new or whatever it is. Ekadashi, that's what we were always taught. Like Ekadashi is the day to start. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Yes, Mataji. So that those are the safest dates and times, and spiritual charity is the safest charity you can do. So yes, so be intelligent, use discrimination. So Prabhupada says here very nicely, there is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. Okay. Let's take the next one. In the mode of passion, या फिर राजसिक दान. So राजसिक दान हो गया when there is expectation of some return, when there is प्रति उपकारार्थम, कि कुछ रिटर्न मिलेगा, उसके लिए की जाती है. फॉर द अर्थ, द गोल ऑफ डूइंग दिस चैरिटीज प्रति उपकार, कि मेरा भी कुछ भला होगा वापस. सो एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ सम रिजल्ट, फ्रूटिव रिजल्ट, fruitive material result की बात करें. If you're asking for blessings of the Lord, if you're asking for going back to Godhead, for bhakti of the Lord, that is not material outcome. So don't think I'm also asking for some outcome, but that is not material outcome, right? So when you're asking for some material benedictions, then that is fruitive results, then that is the mode of passion or rajasic dan. Or the second point is grudgingly. Grudgingly matlab unwillingly, like resentfully. कि मन नहीं है लेकिन ठीक है आप पीछा छुड़ाने के लिए, just under obligation because of some social obligation, or this person knows me, so if I don't give they will feel bad, whatever, like as begrudgingly. ठीक है ना, मन नहीं है, heart नहीं है उसमें, but दे रहे हैं. So that is called that is also rajasic या passion wali charity. So this basically, again, the concept of recognition and fame and name, to be recognized as a charitable person, कि हमारा नाम छपे या जो हम कर रहे हैं उस पे लिखा जाए कि इन्होंने दिया है. आप इंडिया में जाके कोई भी वो देख लो, कोई अनाथ आश्रम, कोई स्कूल, कोई किसने दिया है उसका नाम लिखा होता है, ये कमरा फलाने ने अपनी माता जी को के लिए दिया है. So they, basically recognition. So if you're claiming recognition, name, fame in this world as a charitable person, so many charitable trusts are there, so many charitable funds are there, कि इस व्यक्ति का ये ट्रस्ट है, फलाने कपूर का, फलाने सेलिब्रिटी का, इसका ये फाउंडेशन है, इसमें दो, right? So those are all basically in they're working for welfare of people, no doubt. That helps. That money, that resources they are giving is helping for the welfare of that person. But ultimately, it is only for material welfare, right? So yes, it will benefit the other person, but it is not benefiting you so much because you are seeking for name, fame, recognition. So you're actually, your intention, consciousness behind this charity is like an ulterior motive. Avni, let me finish this verse, then we'll take your realization. So in this way, this kind of charity becomes rajasic. Okay, जिसमें भी कोई fruitive return की भावना आती है. So the mood should be very simple. It is very, very straightforward. For us devotees, the mood is, I'm not giving to that person to get something back. I'm giving to that person just what I got from Krishna. I'm not even giving it to that person. I'm actually giving it back to Krishna. तो भक्ति भाव से देते हैं ना जब, then that same charity becomes transcendental. So when you're giving to something, some cause, don't think I'm giving it to this cause or this person. Think that I'm giving it back to Krishna. Okay, I'm giving it. This is Krishna's money only. जैसे गंगा में गंगा जल अर्पित करते हैं, right? You take some jal out of Ganga and you put it back in Ganga, right? You don't have any jal to give of your own. You don't have any purity to give of your own. All you have is what was given to you by Krishna in the first place. So जैसे गंगा जल में गंगा अर्पित करते हैं, because we cannot do anything better than giving Ganga its own jal. Similarly, Krishna को हम कृष्णा का ही धन वापस करते हैं. वो कृष्णा की ही है. Everything belongs to Krishna. He is the complete proprietor of everything. So when we are giving something back, give it in the mood that I'm giving it back to Krishna. That this was owed to me by, actually I am holding it from Krishna. So I'm giving it back to Krishna. I owe him all this. I'm giving it back to him. This is not mine anyways. This is all belonging to Krishna. Or at the end of the death, Krishna we talked about this, right? Krishna comes as time, as death, and take us all away. So he will take all this wealth, all these resources, everything that you have away anyways. So you're going to lose it in due time. So why do you have this pride that I'm the one giving anything? Right? He's going to take it. If you don't give willfully, then he will snatch it away from you. So you rather purify yourself by giving it back to Krishna slowly through your life, rather than just being snatched at the end and then having to take another body. So give it with bhakti bhav, right? That purifies you. That purifies the other person. The best charity is that benefits the giver and the receiver. दोनों को जिसमें फायदा हो वो charity है. जिसमें दूसरे का नुकसान हो और आपका भी नुकसान हो, या फिर दूसरे का भला हो पर आपका नुकसान हो, this is not charity. The charity is where both people are benefited. So do good and get good back. But if it is done with the intention of, showing something, lording it over the material world as a pious act, then that will bind you. If it is done with love, with devotion to Krishna, with humility as the core principle inside our heart, then same thing will become transcendental. It will be purifying. It will spiritually uplift us. So that is the mode of passion, Rajasic. इसमें बहुत सारी कुछ stories आती हैं. I don't think we have time to go into all of those stories. But the best story is how one should spend our money during our life. Like so we are accumulating all this money, right? Usko, by the end of our life, we have to somehow purify it. Okay, otherwise we will just be incurring the reactions. So there is a very good maths given in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam on how to purify. Kitna percent kisko dena hota hai? We can talk about that some other time. And Sanatan Goswami and Rup Goswami were the best example of how that money should be distributed. Okay, कितना आपके फैमिली वालों को जाना चाहिए, कितना साधु संतों को जाना चाहिए, कितना खुद के लिए रखना चाहिए. All that is very nicely distributed. That distribution is given, and we should follow that distribution. That should be the goal by the end of the life, to follow that distribution of wealth. Yes, Avni, please share.
Hare Krishna. When we donate stuff to Goodwill, what category does that come into? For like donating clothes and like toys and like that? Stuff we don't need anymore?
To be honest, it's not really charity, because charity is something that you give that you could have used for yourself. Charity is something that like this, like I have $100. I could have used entire $100 on myself, right? And now I'm giving $10 of that to somebody else, so I'm only using $90, right? I'm not using that $10 I willingly, that I could have spent on myself, I gave away. That is actually charity. That is the purification. Charity ka matlab hai purification of self, purification of your wealth, right? And to at least get some pious results back. But we, in goodwill and all these things, what we have done is we have already used that thing. We have consumed it already. We have already enjoyed it. We have already had our pleasure, sense gratification with it. Now it is a remnant. It is our waste that we are giving. So we, instead of just throwing it away as a waste, we are giving it to somebody. So yes, it is also in a little pious hai wo. It is a pious act because you could have thrown it away, but now you are giving it to somebody that they can use. But it is not really the charity that is described in Vedas. The charity is something that you willfully give that you could have consumed yourself. It's like saying, compare it to this. एक गरीब व्यक्ति है, right? एक poor man है. He is not eating like on Ekadashi, okay? He's not eating on Ekadashi. You are who was able to eat is also not eating on Ekadashi. The poor man has no choice. That is why he's not eating. If he had food, he would have ate it. You are not eating willingly, putting yourself through something for the pleasure of Lord, right? Not eating. So this intention is what is purifying you. Now with that, the intention is okay, instead of wasting, I will just have, somebody can use it at least. So that intention is okay, but it is not the best intention. The best intention would be to give, like you can donate to Goodwill other ways so that the Goodwill can keep doing. There are so many charitable trusts that are actually doing good jobs. So give it to, yes, a worthy charity like this, a worthy place that will not misuse your money. That are not slaughtering animals, that are not harming other jivas. You can give to such charities. But जो अब हम saman की बात करते हैं, when we give the saman, that saman has actually already been enjoyed by us. So this is what I have understood. Yes,
Okay.
Anita Mataji.
माता जी, मेरा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा फिर से अलग है. जैसे अभी आपने एनिमल का बात किया, राइट? एनिमल स्लॉटरिंग प्लेसेस पे वी शुडंट गिव एनी चैरिटी. तो जैसे वर्क प्लेस का बात आता है, लाइक आई हैड फ्यू ऑप्शंस जहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं वो एनिमल का स्किन से पर्सेस वगैरह बनाते हैं एंड ऑल दैट. सो वैसे वर्क प्लेस में जॉब्स परस्यू करना चाहिए कि नहीं? लाइक
Very nice question, Mataji. Very, very wonderful question. This is very important point that you have raised. कि हमें काम कैसे कहाँ करना चाहिए. Mataji, I'll give you example from my own. Actually, this is something we cannot escape these days. It is very hard to escape. For example, I'm in medicine, right? On a daily basis, I'm prescribing insulin. Okay, insulin is made from pigs and cows, bovine and porcine insulin. I'm prescribing it, right? That is Ugra Karma, right? And we are doing so many Ugra Karma on a daily basis that we don't even know, right? There are some that are avoidable, some that are not avoidable, okay? So I'm saying for myself because there are so many examples I know in my own personal life where pharmaceutical industry is doing a lot of animal research, torturing animals in the names of making many many drugs, and many drugs are made out of these, right? So there is a very big mixture of karma going on because I'm helping this person in recovering from his diabetes, but then he's using this bovine and porcine insulin, right? I'm giving vitamins, or they are made, even the vitamins, simple thing is vitamins, they have animal products in them. So many things we are doing on a daily basis. We are entangled in a very intricate web of Ugra Karma in this Kali Yuga, very, very intricate web. And we have no way of escaping it. We have no way of escaping it. Because let's say I'm treating these people, okay? I'll give you an example. So there is in this community, there is a place called Tyson food industry. They are a very big slaughterhouse, okay? So many of my patients come from Tyson. Every single person that I ask, okay, where do you work? What do you do? We work in Tyson. We work in slaughterhouse. We slap pigs and cows all day. They do this all day. And you are taking care of this person. He becomes healthy. He becomes normal, and he goes back to work and is with great vigor. He's doing his slaughtery again. Okay. This is the karma we are getting. So imagine We are engaged in very, very ugra karma on a daily basis. So you are 100% right that when we choose our job, we should choose in such a way that there is no ugra karma. When we like I'm partner in my practice. Sometimes the money that I'm making is used to hosting various parties, and in that parties, alcohol and meat is served, right? So sometimes I've tried to not, entertain these parties. I don't want to give money, but I cannot escape that because inherently I'm partner of the practice. So my money is being used to host these parties where liquor and meat is being served. So I'm getting that reaction. So whatever we can avoid, Mataji, we try to avoid, right? It's like walking on the street. So many living entities are getting killed on the road just by your walking, right? And those we are not able to avoid. But some of these things we can avoid. Some of these things we cannot avoid at all. That is why we have to chant. That is why we have to chant very, very intensely. That is why we have to get out of this material world in this lifetime only. Okay? Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. बहुत जन्म लग जाते हैं. ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभा. But by the mercy of Prabhupada, by the mercy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, we have been told that you can get out of this material world in this lifetime only. So we have to try, we have to very intensely chant, we have to very intensely take shelter of the devotees and shelter of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and try to get out of here, because this world is giving us ugra karma on a minute by minute basis. So yes, you can make some choices with discrimination. Some are completely out of our control because we have to take in count so many things. जैसे मान लो अगर आप ये जॉब नहीं लो, अगर आप कोई और जॉब ले लो, you don't know कि पीछे behind the scenes क्या हो रहा है. So much ugra karma may be going on, right? Or your spiritual life may decline because you went away from devotees, you did not have connection to Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam anymore, or you may come in contact with too many materialistic people now. So seemingly you took a better job by avoiding some of this ugra karma, but now your spiritual life is getting affected. So remember, engaging in spiritual activities is so purifying, so beneficial that will overcome all these other things that are going on. Because as long as we are clear in our heart with Lord, we express our intent to the Lord that I don't want to engage in this, but I have no choice. I've been put in this position by the act of Maya, by this strong material energy of you. I've been put in this situation that I cannot escape. So Lord, please get me out of this material world. I just want to take shelter of your lotus feet. So if your intention is clear that that is where I want to go, I don't want to be part of all this going on around me. And with that intensity, with that humility, you surrender and chant, then, in this lifetime only we can go back. That is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He said that in this lifetime we can go back to Godhead. So we don't have to go by Bahunam Janmanam.
थैंक यू सो मच माता जी. तो जहां तक पता चल रहा है, समझ में आ रहा है, वी शुड अवॉइड इट. बाकी बिहाइंड द सीन जो पता नहीं है, वी शुड जस्ट लिव इट टू कृष्णा. कृष्णा विल टेक केयर ऑफ इट, ऐसे सोच के, क्योंकि जो सामने दिख रहा है वो तो कम से कम ना करे, राइट?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, 100%.
Sorry, I have a question about what she was saying, that you shouldn't try not to take the job where it involves animal skin. So now my question is, my husband is in a retail business. We do sell purses, we do sell leather, and we know where that comes from. Oh, but retail store is our livelihood. How do we escape that?
Mataji, I just gave the answer.
Like you said, I understand what you said about insulin to giving patients because it's for their well-being.
No. What is the answer I gave? What do you have to do?
Chant.
Chant.
Yes, Mataji, you chant. You increase the intensity, purity of your chanting. You increase the number of your chanting. You start observing Ekadashi, you eat prasadam. So yes, we can focus on the ways we are getting impurified in this world, or we can focus on the ways we can get purified, right? Those impurities are coming, we are contaminating daily on a daily basis, but those contaminations are part of this material world. So slowly, if you can pray for your husband, you can chant for him, you can feed him prasadam, You can make yourself Krishna conscious. You can, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam daily, pray for him, right? That will help him much more than if you just told him directly, stop your business, go away, don't you deal in leather and all this, you're impure. If you just said this, it's not going to help. But you chanting.
Yes, and also Mataji, like it's choice. If you have the choice, in this case, I think if you are dependent on your livelihood and then you don't have choice, right? तो फिर तो like कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, right? आप कृष्णा का नाम लेके कर सकते हैं, लेकिन मेरा जो सवाल था, इट वाज लाइक ऑप्शंस, आई हैड ऑप्शंस कि मैं इसको चूज करूं कि इसको चूज करूं. सो एट दैट टाइम लाइक कि ठीक है, जहाँ पे एनिमल स्लॉटरिंग हो रही है, मतलब जहाँ अब मुझे पता है, तो आई विल नॉट चूज दैट कंपनी. तो ऐसा, लेकिन मेरे पास अगर ऑप्शन नहीं रहता तो फिर मुझे तो करना पड़ेगा, राइट? बिकॉज आई कांट, आई कैनॉट अर्न, लाइक आई कांट टेक दैट कि मैं लाइक अर्न ना करूं, राइट?
Okay.
So
But I will
Mataji,
chant for my husband because my husband is like not chanting, but I'll do it for him.
Yes, Mataji, and slowly as you start uplifting, delicately, maybe he will also start going away from this. Next thing you can do is to go away from leather products yourself, at least not buy them yourself. So we have to see what is your next step. So your next step may not be just closing your shop, but your next step is to just start eating prasadam and chanting and take shelter of Krishna. Seek his guidance, seek the guidance of the devotees. Let's keep going because we have a lot to cover. The distribution of wealth, please hear this. We are not at this point where we can do it, but this is the distribution of wealth recommended for householders. Okay. So householders should spare at least 50% of income for the society. This is again given by Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. This is what they practiced in their life. This is the example set by a predecessor. So 50% for Krishna, sorry, not society, 50% for Krishna, 25% for relatives, 25% for personal emergency expenditures. So if you can give 50%, so as they apni life ko aage se structure karna, at the end, that 50% is given to Krishna. 50% you can keep for yourself, out of which 25% you can give to your family, friends, community, society, and 25% you can give to, you can keep for your own emergency use. This is what is recommended by our acharyas. Let's read the last one very quickly. This is about tamsik dan. This is also very interesting. Tamsik dan. Okay, we talked about this a little bit, but tamsik dan basically means impure place, improper time. मतलब wrong देश काल स्थान सब गलत है. अदेश काल है. So place is impure, time is impure, persons are unworthy. They are not yogya. They are wrong people. And without proper attention and respect is also in the mode of ignorance. Now, person may be right, place may be right, but you are giving it without proper attention and respect. This is what we have to be careful about. ये जो चीज है, this is easy to understand. For example, you give some alcohol to somebody on the street, या meat to somebody on the street to feed them, right? So that is improper, unworthy thing given to unworthy people. And this is very sinful. So this is in mode of ignorance. And this is what we have to remember, without proper attention and respect. So the charity should be given in such a way that you make the other person feel valued, not pitied. Okay, you're not giving charity. जैसे लोग कई बार ऐसे पैसा फेंकते हैं दूसरों के ऊपर, charity देते हैं तो फेंकते हैं. That is very bad. That is in mode of ignorance. This is Lakshmi. This is not for you to throw at somebody, right? This is Lakshmi Mata. This is her manifestation, very, very dear to Krishna. So you don't throw money at people. So this is, you don't give out of pity. You give, remember we talked about, you give because you're giving back to Krishna what you owe him. So it should make the other person feel valued. The receiver should feel valued, that they are a precious child of Krishna, that they are part of this universe. They are very precious, very dear to Krishna. That is how they should feel when you give them charity, that they are the cherished member of this universal family. Because remember, they're very, let's say, poor people, right? They're feeling very degenerate. Basically, they're put in this situation of life, and now you are also treating them like that. You're doing charity, but in a very pitiful way. That should not be the mood. You should make them feel cherished. So don't give charity scornfully, like egoistically, right? By highlighting my superiority, my pride. So if the charities are just inflating your pride, then that will just be in mode of ignorance or mode of passion. So the charity should not be for the sense of power. It should not be for egoistic purpose. It should not be to control other people. कि मैं इसको ये करूंगा तो मैं इससे ये काम निकलवा सकता हूँ. Yeah, this person will do this for me. I can control, because then you are trying to control the material nature. You're trying to control the matter. You're trying to enjoy the matter, right? And you are helping other people to enjoy the matter. Oh, maybe this person has never had any booze, any alcohol. So मैं इसको alcohol पिलाता हूँ. So you are helping other people enjoy matter. No, that so you are enjoying materially yourself and helping other person enjoy materially. That is no lasting fulfillment. That is very temporary, and that will actually incur sinful reactions. So do it, give proper thing to proper person at proper time, pure place, not impure, like not place like we just talked about slaughterhouses and stuff, and give with proper attention and respect. जैसे अगर आप एक साधु को भी दान देते हो, एक कहानी आती है ऐसे बहुत अच्छी कि कोई साधु आए और व्यक्ति ने उनको ऐसे भगा दिया, हाँ ठीक है, घर से, लेकिन वो फिर से आए अगले दिन, फिर से आए दान मांगने, क्योंकि मधुकरी करते हैं सन्यासी एंड साधु. दिस ऑल्सो वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई सन्यासीज डू मधुकरी, राइट? सो साधु एंड सन्यासी मधुकरी करते हैं, दे गो हाउस टू हाउस बेगिंग आर्म्स. उसने फिर से उनको वो कर दिया. थर्ड टाइम व्हेन ही केम, राइट, सो दिस पर्सन जस्ट थ्रू समथिंग एट हिम, ये लो और आगे से कभी मत आना. You know, that is very bad. So you're giving it to proper person, you're giving it to a sadhu or sannyasi, but you're giving it with such a bad, you know, it's such a bad mood in which you're giving, right? So this sadhu is turned away. So this is without respect. This is called bootlicking in this material world. Ki mera, you know, talwa chaate log tab bhi main dunga. So that is bootlicking. That is not recommended. So remember that we have to give with humility, without any pride in the heart. And it should not be given scornfully. It should be given as a servant of Krishna. The other person should feel cherished, should not feel pitied. Okay. So that is some points I had to share about the tamasic charity. So another se nahi dena, other se dena hai. Otherwise one incurs that. Somebody is writing something in the chat. Nirbhay Prabhu is writing, we invite Krishna in our house, have a temple, place to pray, books we can buy. Okay, yes. Yes, Nirbhay Prabhu, very nice. So yes, we should do transcendental charity. So coming back to our original point, sages of Naimisharanya, they were engaged in this sacrifice of 1,000 years because they were concerned with the welfare of people. Our position is that we want to do good to the people, but we also want you know, we want to do it with proper intention, proper humility, as servant of the Lord, right? So pray to the Lord. If there is pride in the heart, pray to the Lord that please, you may do anything to me. Kuch bhi karo, cut my pride, right? Cut the pride in my heart. So I can do these charities, these austerities, these tapasya, this sacrifice with humility, with servitude, right? And secondly, we should do it with respect to the worthy people, to the worthy place. And time also matters in a way that if we do it on special days, then the charity amplifies, the results get magnified. Okay. Okay, coming back to the original question. What are the 6 questions? I think Avni and Vedi have been studying it. What are the 6 questions Sut Goswami, sages of Naimisharanya asked Sut Goswami? So other than them, who would like to answer? Let's see. What are the 6 questions that sages of Naimisharanya asked Sut Goswami? Those are the questions we should learn ourselves, we should preach to the world, and we should, if nobody answers, then I'll have to ask Avni Vedi, because I've studied it. Studied it as in, you know it. You don't know it. Namita Mataji knows. Yes, Mataji.
I'm going to try, Mataji. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it a try. What is our place on this earth? Like, how do we go back to Godhead? That would be one of my things. Is like, I know now we're learning all this, but as a question like what is our standing here on earth, and how do we go back to Godhead? I'm not sure. But
So they asked, what is the first question they asked is, what is the ultimate benefit for mankind? तो हमें श्रेयस देखना है. श्रेया मतलब long term benefit देखना है, not short term benefit. What is the ultimate benefit for mankind? I'm going to tell you these 10 questions, sorry, 6 questions very, very quickly, so that you have hankering to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And those who do not have Srimad Bhagavatam in their house, you would have the hankering to invite Bhagavatam. If you want to wait till Bhadra Purnima, fine. But as you know, this cannot wait. Our spiritual advancement cannot wait, right? Time is running. So we don't have to wait for Bhadra Purnima. We can just invite Bhagavatam and start reading. Aaj se padho, kal se just shuru karo, just start. So the 6 questions are these, and the answers are in the book. So I'm just going to give you the questions. First question is, what is the ultimate benefit for all mankind? The Shreya, ki sabse best charity kya hai? ठीक है? Second question is, what is the essence of all scriptures? This you know. Essence of all scriptures, right? Krishna is the essence of all scriptures, only object of our worship, right? He's the sum and substance, summum bonum, the conclusion of all Vedas. So what is the essence of all scriptures, they ask. Number 3, for what reason did Lord appear? What reason did Lord take birth from Mother Devaki? So why did he come? To reclaim the lost souls. He doesn't have to come, but he comes to attract us with his pastimes, with his shows us his love, engages us in his activities, and to claim us. Number 4, they said, please describe. This is what we should ask. We should discuss with each other, and we should ask other devotees. Describe the wonderful activities of the Lord in relationship to creating the material world. How did he create the material world, right? Why did he create? दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे दिल में समाई, तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई, right? So they're asking that. Number 5, fully describe the activities of Hari's incarnations within this universe. कि सारी भगवान की forms के बारे में बताओ, भगवान कितनी forms में आते हैं. And one form we'll learn about next time. Actually, it is not an incarnation, it is Krishna himself when Mahaprabhu comes, but we'll learn about Mahaprabhu next time. So fully describe the activities of Hari's incarnation within this universe. And number 6, where did the religion take shelter after Krishna retired to his own abode? कि जब कृष्णा वापस चले गए तो फिर धर्मा कहाँ गया? धर्मा ने किसकी shelter ली? So धर्मा ने shelter ली किसकी? कैसे हुआ धर्मा re-established when Krishna went away? Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse I have to share with you. Srimad Bhagavatam arose. So this is the verse. He says, Krishna, ये sages बोल रहे हैं. Sorry, सूद गोस्वामी बोल रहे हैं. कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते धर्मा ज्ञानादिभि सह कलाउ नष्टा दृश्यम एषा पूर्णार्को धुनोधिता. कि कृष्णा जब अपने धाम चले गए, स्वधामोपगते, तो धर्मा कहाँ गया? So he says, this Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Puran. So this is the best charity you can do in this world right now. You can give somebody Bhagavatam, you can read Bhagavatam yourself, and you can give somebody Bhagavatam. So I wanted to mention this because the first and the last question of sages actually comes back to the same thing, that the greatest charity is to take somebody back to Godhead. The greatest charity is to give Srimad Bhagavatam, to learn Srimad Bhagavatam yourself. And so without any delay, take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, because like Anita Mataji said, we have so much Ugra Karma going on every day in our life. We have no time to waste. We have to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a form of Krishna. So but when we say take shelter of Krishna, we mean take shelter of Bhagavatam, take shelter of devotees, take shelter of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the best charity you can do. So all those 3 charities, remember, the intention matters, the person matters, the time and place matters. But out of those things, intention and the mood in which we do the charity matters the most. And if we do spiritual charity, then that is the best kind of charity. This is where I'd finish. We've exceeded a little bit. I apologize. Anybody has any questions? They want to share anything?
I have a question.
Yes.
So like when we want to give someone Bhagavad Gita, if you don't have a very good, like you're not like, I don't think I have very solid understanding of all the texts, and even Bhagavad Gita is one of our starting textbooks, but are you still able to give that to others or offer to others without having a solid learning of it?
Yes, Mataji. Yes. In this movement, there is no such thing. Prabhupada gave us full permission. Forget Prabhupada. Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu gave us full permission to preach. They gave us full permission to distribute Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. No knowledge is needed. All you have to do is to give Bhagavad Gita in their hands. It takes care of the rest. Remember, this is Krishna. This is Krishna's words. So your words don't matter. What matters is that you're giving Krishna to them. So, but still, your point is very important. That is why we have to get intense. That is why we have to start learning ourselves also. You keep giving. You give Bhagavad Gita, you give Bhagavatam, even if you don't understand. But important that on our part, we also become very intense in our learning, in our advancement, in our bhakti, in our mood, in fixing ourselves. There is, we're running out of time. So if we want to do the greatest charity of mankind, charity starts at home. So start charity at home, start your own learning, start your own improvement, your self-realization, your own chanting intensely, right? Bhagavad Gita will reveal itself. So yes, but you can still give while you are preparing for this war as a soldier prepares, right? You prepare, this is a war and we are preparing, we fight in this war like a soldier fights. So you prepare yourself. And Prabhupada did say that we should all become lawyers and should be able to quote scriptures, quote verses like lawyers do. But again, we have to कब तक neophyte रहोगे, right? We have to come to the level of madhyam adhikari. Madhyam adhikari knows how to communicate with different people. He knows how to communicate with karmi people, simple people, people that are somewhat favorable, people that are envious. So he can distinguish between all four types of people, and then the pure devotees. So it takes certain level of maturity, certain level of intensity of bhakti, certain level of knowledge of scriptures to distinguish between five types of people and behave with each type of people differently. So that is why if you don't know what to say, you just give Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. But meanwhile, start learning what we need to say also. Does that answer your question, Mataji? But you give full permission by Mahaprabhu himself to distribute.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, anybody else would like to share? Should we go to chanting? Okay. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Gurve Gauri Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gitotnashad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories.